Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Let's Talk Arsenal series, our twice weekly show on a Tuesday and a Friday at 5 p.m. On Tuesday, I'm joined by a guest, which I'm going to introduce to you in just a second. But before we do, our Let's Talk Arsenal shows are always sponsored by Football Prizes. And this week, it is a hell of a prize. We've got a Emile Smith-Rowe signed shirt, framed, and you're going to like this bit. It lights up. I mean, if you're British, we just love things that light up. We're like magpies. We just love shiny things. So if that's sort of your thing and you like something that lights up, and not only the fact that it's Emile Smith-Rowe's shirt that is signed by him with a certificate of authenticity, then you can get a hold of that. There's about half tickets left, I think, and it runs out on Friday. So make sure you get that before it goes. Link is in the description. And of course, on Friday, one of our members in the Discord server is going to be getting a free entry into that. So make sure you get involved with that one. But without further ado, it's an absolute pleasure to be joined today by Clive. How you doing, mate? Are you well? Are you good?
I am good. How are you?
Yes, very good. Thank you. Of course, you join us from the Arsenal Vision podcast, which I hear there's stuff are brewing for the summer. It's not going to be quiet. It's going to be fairly busy.
Yeah, we're doing some Euro stuff, and there's a live event about to be announced, which is really very exciting. Very exciting. Oh. And so I don't want to say too much, but it's going to be big. And I may even be there myself. And it involves me getting on a plane, put it that way.
Right? Oh my God, that's going to be crazy. That's going to be mad. So, I look forward to seeing the chaos that goes on, and hopefully it's spectacular as it sounds. I'm sure it will be. So make sure you keep yourselves peeled to the Arsenal Vision pods on the socials, and you'll learn all about it there. Anyway, we are, of course, here to chat about, with the season now over, I'm very much of the mind, Clive, that I want to kind of put things that what happened last season to bed, done. I don't want to think about it. I'm sick of it. I hate what happened last season. I know it's important that we reflect on things, and obviously we need to improve and learn from the mistakes. But I also think it's the most important thing to look forward and try and look forward in a positive way to next season and what we can change and improve upon. A lot of that, obviously, in the summer is going to involve the transfer window. But a lot of it is also going to involve the manager and what he decides to do. Now, he admitted himself in press conferences towards the end of the season that he thought he'd made mistakes, that he thought he'd got stuff wrong, and that was the reasons why he is where he is and where the club is where it is. But what is it for you, like the biggest mistakes that were made, and what is it for you that Arteta must do differently this time around?
Well, every season there's mistakes, right? And every coach makes them, and every club makes them. But we only care about one club, right? So let's focus on that. So we started the year, and I was fairly positive. I know I'm thinking top 4, top 6, bring it on. You know, it's all been so good. Drinks break, Arsenal looked pretty sharp at Wembley, and every time we're doing something stupid,
that was it, wasn't it? Drinks break. As soon as we lost the drinks break, it just went.
Yeah, exactly. And so, 20 minutes we were doing something stupid, he'd just fix it in 1 minute, and we'll be back on it again. So it's like quite exciting, this. And then we started off not bad, 3 wins out of 4. And then we sort of found a couple of holes. We lost to City, but we played quite well. But then we sort of lost our way a bit. We lost our creativity a bit. And then we started to look around, I feel, as a fan group at all the things that weren't quite right. So the Ozil, Guendouzi, we didn't have creativity. Smith-Rowe was just a figment of our imagination at the time with a shoulder injury. And Saka had the burden of carrying this team, and it was weird, really, wasn't it, that the senior players sort of disappeared. We looked at the system, we yearned for number 10s, and the 3-4-3, the hybrid system, which I liked a lot, sort of lost its way a little bit. And because we didn't make enough decisions for me, we played Aubameyang left, and we needed a creator out there, and we needed double 10s behind the forward, and we had 2 forwards, and we weren't creating, weren't linking, unless Saka did it, Pepe was crushed by Willian. Smart move, that one, wasn't it? Pepe was crushed by Willian, and his confidence was on the floor. Xhaka was thumping people in the neck. He's like, oh, come on, headbutting at Leeds, red card, Gabriel. I mean, it just got worse. Burnley own goal, no shots, and they still beat us 1-0. I mean, this is pretty low. Yeah. And then suddenly we found 4-2-3-1. We found a bit of youth. Martinelli, Smith-Rowe come in, and suddenly we look like a football team again. beat Chelsea. I think we had West Brom the next game, did quite well. And we found something. And then this for me was the crux of the season, right? So in a season, you will have bumps in the road. No problem. Every team has them. It's how you react to them. And we got a massive bump in the road, losing Aubameyang to malaria. Common thing that happens to most clubs.
Yep.
At the same time, we lose Tierney. Unfortunately, at national break, we use Ødegaard at national break. Lacazette's 106-year-old hamstrings, they pop out, right? So we lose both our experienced forwards that were a bad buy in the first place, buying them within 6 months of each other, but to lose them within 2 weeks of each other at a critical time of the season. Smith Rowe was leggy post under 21. Saka was getting leggy. We lose David Luiz, his hamstrings ping out, and you think, okay, we got a problem. So what do we do? I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll move Xhaka to left back for Sheffield United. And it sort of worked. But then Everton came along.
Sheffield United.
Yeah. And then Richarlison turned up, didn't he? In the home game. And he told us the folly of our ways. This was not going to last. And it was at that moment we needed to react. We needed to say, okay, what do? Do I play one of 2 or 3 players at left back, but not Xhaka? Do I play? I personally, you know my view, Tom, I'd have played Gabriel out there. I'd have pushed up on the right back side and rolled around into a 3-2-5 that way, using like a back 3 almost, but, pushing the right back on and rolling into a 4. Some people wanted Cedric out there. I wasn't one of them. Some people wanted Saka out there. I wasn't sure about losing our pearl of a player back into our back line. I felt that was a wrong move. But I would have gone Gabriel, solid, 4-2-3-1, Xhaka in front. I'd have gone that way. What do? We decide to lean into Dani Ceballos in centre midfield. And that, to me, was the last option. I would have rather seen El Neni there. Double pivot, keep it simple, 4-2-3-1, front 4 diamond, 1 fullback pushing up. Simple as that. Not complicated, Tom. You know the rules. Very, very simple. But by playing Xhaka at left back, this is what we did. We gave 3 players 1.5 jobs. We gave Xhaka 1.5 jobs, which means he plays left back, but he's got to be almost like a semi-double pivot.
Yeah.
You know what? Was that the wisest thing to do for him?
I don't see Granit Xhaka as a João Cancelo, to be honest.
Exactly. But we decided to do that. We then split our midfield wide. We gave Ceballos 1.5 jobs. We said to you, I'll tell you split wide in good possession. Give a little bit of whiff because Xhaka can't move up and down the line. But then I want you to contract really quickly when we lose the ball. And if I was to list you, Dani Ceballos' number 1 weakness, he's probably running back on the recovery. And we emphasize that by giving him 1.5 jobs. And then what do? We then look at our centre midfielder, Thomas Partey, 45 million quid. We decide, I tell you what, you play double pivot all your life, but we'll give you 1.5 jobs. In fact, we'll give you 2 or 3 jobs. You stand in the middle of that pitch, in the middle of the wagon wheel on your own, with all the responsibility, with a target on your back saying, can you carry this midfield on your own? With maybe Callum Chambers on the right-hand side. Maybe, but he's doing a rail track run up and down the line when he feels like it. And Dani Ceballos, 3'3" to your left, about 15 miles away. That's what we did. We gave 3 people jobs they couldn't deal with. We destabilized those 3 players. We could have stabilized the team. And that's the thing that I think as a coach, you get judged in adversity. And I think he went the wrong way. And our season derailed at that point. Yeah. And then to confirm that, mate, the simplicity of the system since then, bringing in El Neni, 4-2-3-1. Obviously, we get left back again, even though he could barely run. It's just having him there was good. And then we saw at the weekend, bring Xhaka in, and suddenly it looks so simple, doesn't it? So simple. And so that for me was the season, mate. We should be preparing for Europa League final tomorrow, without a doubt, with a simple, safe, structured move to allow our front 4 to play.
What really bugs me is the Saka West Brom game, because to throw Saka in that left back position, the game after you get knocked out, and where the fan base has been crying out for weeks. I mean, I'd have rather he died on that hill with Xhaka until the end of the season, to avoid mugging us off, basically. and seeing Saka just do so well at putting the. I know it was only West Brom, and maybe it wouldn't have worked, but it was so much better seeing everywhere else and everyone else not having, as you say, 1.5 jobs and just having to focus on what they needed to do. It really got to me, that game, just seeing Saka sit there at left back and perform so well.
And you know what? I'm a bit of a pragmatist in football. I look at structure in a way where I look at it I look at stability. I look at central points in the team and reference points. We had Xhaka and Partey. We also know that Elneny and Partey went to Old Trafford, and they can perform that structured role. So from that block of 2 centre backs and 2 centre mids, you can do it. You can do what you like from there, because you've got that block, and you can rock around that square as you feel like it. But that block is there, right? So by losing stability and then destabilizing players, you destabilize the whole team. And then we can't impose our tactics on the opponents because we're chasing shadows, running back on big green spaces of grass. My 65-inch TV was full of green grass with no Arsenal players in it. And it's like, you don't need to be an analyst or anything. You just need to look at your TV and say, we've got a problem. We've got a problem. And it is, to me, you're absolutely right. With the West Brom thing, I think by doing that, I asked myself the question I did at the time: what are people telling him around him? What are his assistants getting in his ear and telling him?
Do you feel like they're yes men? Do you feel like they are a bit like, just, Arteta, great idea. We're going to clap you for that. Yes, great idea. Do that. Like, do you think it's any challenging going on at all behind the scenes?
I don't want to say he can't. If I say, I think they need to challenge him more. This is my suspicion. They need to challenge him more. This isn't hard. It comes with experience. You've got 2 50-year-olds in Stutenberger, his name is, and Steve Round. They've done a couple of laps, right? So they know about stress. They've been in these situations. This is the time you earn your brass. Right here. This is the time you calm the manager down and say, you don't have to solve all of this. Let's just go what we know that's going to work. We're in a semi-final of European competition. This is not the time to take a 20-year-old kid fresh off an injury of the Euros under 21s and make him play false 9. Don't do it. Because if it goes wrong, it looks silly. Let's get basically our captain in Xhaka in the middle of the pitch next to the guy. Let's make sure your £27 million summer signing centre-back, who is sharp, that can man-mark their best right winger in Chukwueze, play him there for this occasion. Solidify your team. Have a look at the game. See what it's telling us. If we need to up the offensive players, we do that. But you're getting Arsenal Football Club potentially 80 million quid in revenue if you get to Europa League and win it. Do you see what I mean? These are decisions that someone needs to tell him. These are, don't lean into Danny Ceballos. He's giving you warning signs, sorry. Benfica.
We've had a few warning signings as well, to be fair.
It's in the post, isn't it? It's just too much reliance on, I have to say, lone players, for my view, Tom. I'm not pleased with it. I'm not pleased with it. But that's the moment experience. We got experience there. That's when they got to really get their point across. And but we didn't.
No, we did. We really did. It was everything we just summed up there with the whole season is obviously what we've seen, and it is all about that season. Was we didn't learn from the mistakes. He kept on playing Willian. He kept on playing Bellerin at the start of the season when it wasn't necessarily working. When you had other options, we moved Xhaka out of position, and then we continued to use him even though it wasn't working in our most important game of the season. He copied the false 9 of De Bruyne. Let's be real. It felt like he copied Pep. It really did. That's how it felt to me. And you can't risk that, as you say, in the most important game of the season, to throw a 20-year-old kid that only just came into the senior side a few months prior into a position he's never played. And as a player, for me, the biggest criticism I have of Smith Rowe, and there's not many of them because I think he's been arguably our most improved player this season, but what I think he has to work on is his final product, be it a shot or be it the final pass. That's, for me, the key thing about Smith Rowe, that if he develops, and as you say, it will come as he develops and get older, but it's not going to suddenly spontaneously erupt in a semi-final playing in a false 9 role. It's just not going to happen. And
he was looking for central area control, really, and he didn't need to. No, I'm not. I think the false 9 thing was lesser importance to me than what he did at the left back and centre midfield.
Yeah.
Because if that's solidified, we can see what the false nine thing looks like. But the other choice was really Eddie Nketiah, wasn't it? And Eddie didn't quite tear it up. But at least he's a centre forward. And so then you got to choose between Odegaard and Smith Rowe. And for me, this is why I'm a bit down on loans. I think he was overly loyal to the loan players when they weren't quite at it. Odegaard wasn't fit once he'd done his ankle. He played him, didn't play well for those 2 or 3 games post the international break. Really big miss. Smith Rowe was fit. He could have done that role, and he plays with Eddie. I know we weren't in the best shape. I know we had lots of injuries, but that's the time you simplify. I've got a little message. I always say, if you're not sure what to do, do sweet FA. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. It's a simple message in life. If you're not sure what to do, don't do anything. Just do what's normal and then let the players work from that structure.
That's how I've kept a girlfriend for 8.5 years. So it clearly works. It clearly works. Let's jump into the chat box and see what some of the guys are saying. First of all, Hugo, thank you ever so much for joining up and joining the crew of members. I see you've joined up as an expert member, so I'll send you the link for the Discord server as soon as we have finished over here. Now, there's lots of questions, Clive, obviously about the summer and what we need to do. And obviously the title of the video is about what we need to do to succeed. And a lot of that is going to be around different players. Now, what you and me, of all the people on the Arsenal fan base, we love transfers and we love looking at transfer targets and we love just researching.
Scout, YouTube, I'm your man.
Oh yeah, it's worth the money, Scout. I tell you, it is expensive, but it's worth the money. Just having it, unless you're cheeky and you use someone else's login. I don't do that. I have to pay for it. But yeah, I know there are others, wink wink, out there that do. Anyway, in regards to the centre-back position is something I'm really interested in today because obviously over the last couple of days, we've seen some links with Arsenal and centre-backs. Now, in January, David Ornstein told us that Arsenal in January were looking at a right-sided centre-back in that period anyway. We didn't bring one in the end, but that is clearly rearing its head again, even despite the fact that Saliba's had an impressive loan spell at Nice. Mavropanos has also had a very decent loan spell, and today, I don't know if everyone's seen, has been called up for the senior Greek national team today as well, which is great news for him.
That's good.
We've been linked yesterday to Jules Koundé of Sevilla, who's a very, very highly rated French centre-back that's going to the Euros with France. And today we've been linked with Tapsoba from Bayer Leverkusen, who is a Burkina Faso international. I'm going to be hopefully doing a tactical breakdown on tomorrow. Okay. But he's also very highly rated, 22, I think, years old, similar to Koundé. Now, I don't want to specifically ask you about those two players because we could wax lyrical about them. I'm more interested about the idea of Arsenal signing a centre-back when Saliba is there, because there's for me, a fixation from the fan base about Saliba must succeed. Saliba has to come into the team. He must play every single game until his legs break. That's pretty much the mindset of a lot of people. And I understand that because we spent a hell of a lot of money on him. But I kind of pointed out in a bit of a thread, I said, look, with Saliba, he's 20 years old. He's had 6 months of first-team football last season. He came in for a lot of money under, pointing out, a completely different recruitment system under Raul Sanllehi and Unai Emery, not Arteta and not Edu. So that's got to be factored in. And also, there's been a lot of people that have criticised Rob Holding's new contract and saying that Rob Holding should not be the starting right-sided centre-back for Arsenal going forwards. And I agree with that. I think he should be a depth player for Arsenal. But in my mind, I can't rely on Saliba and Gabriel to be Arsenal's two centre-backs throughout the whole season and for the alternatives to be Rob Holding and Marie. I'm growing in the idea that Arsenal do need to go out and sign another quality centre-back. So I'm really interested to your vision on this.
Yeah, I flip-flop on this, to be honest, because I'm reading the tea leaves and the mood music and thinking, you know what? He's not going to play a 20-year-old and a 23-year-old at the back. He's just not going to put his career on that.
Yeah,
he knows he's got 8 to 10 games to start the season, and we better be tip top because there's a lot of Arsenal fans just standing in the shadows waiting. Because next year, if we buy the players we need to buy, there is literally a no excuse environment. We've got no Europe pre-season, plenty of coaching time. We have a top coach. We should have trimmed the squad. This should be a no-excuse environment. If he's allowed to trim the squad, if Arsenal can do the right deals, which we all hope they need to do, but the whole market's doing the same thing. There's going to be a really, really strong transfer window. So if I'm him, playing a game for my life. Then again, I would have done different things at Villarreal, by the way. He didn't care. And so I'm thinking, am I going to do that? And I keep looking at the player. I've looked at all three of these players today, Tom. And I really like Saliba. I really like him. What I'm not sure about is he's still a young man. There's immaturity about him. He's a young man.
A tad.
Yeah. He's a young man. He's got a man's body, but he's still 20 years of age, just 19, 20 years of age. There are no, apart from Fofana, who's playing in the 3, let's be honest. He's playing in the 3, tucked in on the right. That's a different ball game. And I would like Arsenal to use a 3 a lot more than what they do. I don't see anything wrong with it as long as you have 2 double 10s behind the forward. Yeah. It's how you
I like Tierney at left centre back. I really like it.
And Tierney, you can use him as left wing back, and you can do what you like. But there's Arsenal, in some ways, with the age of our centre backs, we suit a 3, and then you can play a 1+1 in the middle. Rather than a flat 2, you play 1+1, and suddenly we got a young kid at Newcastle doesn't mind dashing from that position going forward. Do you know what I mean? So it's what you want to do. I don't like the fact we dismiss that system because it allowed players to settle, young players to settle. Leicester did it with Luke Thomas at left wing back, and they're probably bringing Bertrand to help him settle. When they want to play a flat 4 on occasion, and Bertrand does it. When they go wing back, play the kid who's got a bit more legs. And Fofana, he was doing all right in a 4. He wasn't great. He was doing okay. In a 3, he came into himself, much like he did at Saint Etienne. So I would like to see Saliba play. I looked at Koundé, a little bit small for me, mate. I heard the other day talking about his heading stats. Well, Mustafi had good heading stats, right? So
thanks for that.
but when Harry Kane bullies him on the far post, it doesn't matter, right? And that's where it counts, close to goal. And Tapsoba, I like him, but he's a left centre back, Tom, isn't he? I mean, if you look at him, he plays all his time on the left. I don't think he's strong in his legs. I don't think he's strong in his core. I don't think he drives out the spot, and I don't think he's a possession centre back, which is what we need. And Saliba is a possession centre back from deep. Is he experienced enough? I don't know. I really don't know, and I'm not sure Arteta's going to play him. I just don't think he is. And if PSG knock our door and give us our money back, I think we'll take it. I do.
So how much is that? What?
Well, in France, his reputation. Well, you tell me. You know a bit more about these leagues, but I would imagine his reputation in France has not gone downhill, given what he's done in the recent months.
No,
he's still a bright talent, but obviously French league, only a couple of clubs that can really pay us all money, I'd assume. So yeah, I mean, I hope he makes it. I genuinely hope he makes it. As a player, I really like what he can do, but I just need to see him on the pitch, in a proper adults man's game in the English Premier League. We will know within half an hour. We literally will, and that's what I need to do before they decide what to do with him.
Wayne Sage in the chat says centre-back should be the least on the club's priorities. Central midfield, right-back and left-back need most important. Do you not agree?
I don't agree. So what's his name? Is it Wayne?
Wayne Sage, yeah.
Right. Hey, Wayne. Right. I'm going to tell you why this is really important decision for us. Right. So I was talking to Elliot and the boys on WhatsApp before I came on. So if they're watching, they know I'm going to say. I think a big thing about Arsenal for me is where we play on the pitch. With David Luiz and say a Holding in particular, they are happier closer to their goal. David Luiz likes to drop off so he can see the play, so he can drop the ball where he likes it. And Rob Holding is a natural defender. He goes one of two ways. He goes very tight and aggressive high up on the halfway line, gives away fouls and swears at the ref, jogs back into his hole. Or he likes to be near his box, where he's actually quite good in the air. But when you get him dancing around with his feet, he's not so good. He's a bit flat-footed. Runs with his feet out like a duck, right? So he's not very good in one-on-one
What an analogy that is, wasn't it?
If you ever want to see, there's a little clip when Grealish and...
I thought you were going to send me to a duck video. That's
There's a little clip that's out there with Grealish and Barkley making Rob Holding dance in the Villa home game, our home game, and it's not great, mate. It's not great.
Yeah.
And but he's done fine for us. He's a third or fourth centre back. That's it. He should be at Newcastle for 20 million. That's what he should be, replacing Fabian Schär. Like, that's what he should be doing. But he's at Arsenal wearing the captain's armband in the European semi-final. I'm not sure about that, right? Do you see what I mean? So, But the whole thing about moving us up the pitch is really key, I think, because when you do that, everything becomes more front-footed. Everything means we're now creating a situation where our centre mids, and this is where Wayne is right, our centre mids can engage and tackle and create transitions. You've only got to look at the second goal on Sunday. Xhaka comes across, makes a tackle, one pass, round the side, Pepe in and goal. Celebration time. That's what modern football is. It's 2-3 passes, transitions, bang, straight at the gut, go for them. We don't tackle. The pitch is too big, we can't pressure people. The pitch is too big, our centre-backs are too far back. Our centre-mids, only one of them really makes a tackle. If Xhaka and Partey are there, we're okay. And it goes on to my centre-mid choice, obviously Basuma. I want people to go and engage the game. Centre-backs allow big space centre-backs that can run into sides, run into corners, which means we can push up. If we push up, then we can start to judge our talent up front. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
They haven't got to carry the ball to the area when they want to get a shot. It's already on its way. It's already there. They can see it. And when the ball's close to you, you're more likely to be more proactive in your running. If the ball's back in Holding and Chambers land, what if I'm a Aubameyang? Why am I running? It's not coming. Do you see what I mean? Because they can't kick it, mate. They can't. Louise can, but they can't. And this is why a possession centre-back that can play football is really important. And a right-back that gives us confidence to get up the pitch in a more dynamic way. I think Chambers has been fine, by the way.
Yeah.
But, in a more sprinty way, like an Emerson, like, I forget his name. Yeah, Aaron's. I think Aaron's might be the one because he's different to Chambers. So you play Chambers at Palace and Burnley and West Ham. And Aaron's in a home game at the Emirates when the sun's shining when we've got the ball. That's quite a nice mix, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what needs to happen. We need to
Who's the other one that you were thinking of?
My Mukelele.
Mukiele from RB Leipzig. Yes.
Yeah. Every now and again, you got to pay the money. If you want to be a top team, you get your Basuma, you get your Mukelele, and you decide what you're going to do in attacking mid areas. But these are the boys, really. There's no risk associated to those two.
I'm intrigued now because we are getting into the realm of transfers about kind of like what your expectation is, because we've heard everything now from the owners, from Arteta. I mean, from the owners we hear, and I cannot say these words without using the air quotes. We've heard of the big plans for investment from the ownership. We've heard of Arteta saying that they have planned out the window, regardless of whether or not we would get European football. They said they might tweak a few things. They've got like contingencies, etc. But there's a lot of, they've put pressure on themselves. They've put the expectation up from the fan base. Even when Arteta's tried to rescue it a little bit in press conferences by saying that players that are on contract are very likely to be here, etc., which is a load of rubbish, and people should read between the lines on those. But what are you expecting? What's the hope for you? Do you think we're going to see the investment that we've never seen before? Do you think, again, it's going to come from the amount of player sales we're able to do, or something completely different?
Yeah, just one quick thing. Just because I just saw a comment come up saying I don't agree with the defence. I can't remember who it's from. It sort of said, I respectfully disagree, Clive. I just saw it flashed up about defence. We've got the third best defence in the league. What I want people to realise is that we haven't got the third best attack in the league because of where we play. Do you see what I mean? And I think if we can score a lot more goals because where of our territory and our position on the pitch is, we play too many passes in our last third. The pitch is too big for us to cover. Squeeze the game up like most of the top teams do, playing their half. We will score a hatful of goals on the transition just by our position and our territory. And I think that's a really key thing. So having players that can manage those distances at the back is so important, because then we can really rip into teams up top. And if we lose the ball, there isn't the fear factor. There isn't just the bias running back at Villarreal situations. We haven't got that situation. And then, so what happens then? Your defense is basically almost like the last line of your defense. We need to engage a lot higher up rather than what we're doing at the moment. So that's what I was trying to say there. Who is that from? Zamir? Zamir.
Yeah.
Hey, Zamir. So this is why I think Arteta, although Arteta's made mistakes, I don't think he's the biggest problem at the club. I think we've got problems in our director of football area. I think we've got problems with our key agent area. And we have problems with our ownership. The Arteta problems, you and your listeners, Tom, and your members, we can discuss them every single week. We don't make a substitution. We don't pick the right player. We were doing this till we drop down dead. That's what's going to happen. A coach's issues are so not easy to spot, but we can all spot them in hindsight. And we can discuss them and see if we're learning, and that's the fun of being a fan, right? So Arteta's issues managing us and the team are clear, and when he does something good, they're also clear. What we need Arteta to do, and this is why I think he's been better than Emery, he's not so much managing us, but he needs to upward manage. And I think this is where he's better. He seems to be the only, so far, he's the only one to get any money out of Kroenkes for Party. He needs, what we need him to do is not worry about managing us. The ownership are not going anywhere. He needs to manage them. He needs to be the guy that links his club together. And it's not, he shouldn't be the guy, but because we have no leadership structure, because we're a dysfunctional organization, I absolutely trust Arteta for his motivations for being here. I know why he's here. I look at some of our previous directors of football and particular agents, and I think their motivations could be questioned. I really do, When you're a key agent, a key advisor for our director of football, and you have players in the team, in the squad, why are you going to be helping to bring in players that are going to push out your clients? Do you see what I mean? There's a conflict of interest there. Yeah. We need Arteta to be really pushing the ownership. And I'm sure your listeners are saying right now, well, Clive, they're never going to spend any money. Well, he's the only one that's going to be able to do it. So who else is going to do it? There's no one else who's going to push this hard enough to upward manage with the KSC to get the money that we need to kickstart this process of renewal that we all know need. It's a process of renewal, isn't it? Squad renewal. Yeah. The ugly bits was done in January. That's a pay to get out job. Get out of our club. We're going to pay you to. Still. Yeah. And then we've got the bits where we can actually sell people because they've actually played on the pitch. Yeah. They've actually got a track record. They've actually, a lot of the players that we want to sell have been linked, with clubs, There's an option there to sell quite a few, So could they play?
Injury is a bit annoying. That's a little bit annoying.
Yeah, it is. So we need Arteta to upward manage because our dreams, I'm afraid, are not going to happen from a self-sustainable model. It's just not. It really isn't. And
I get the feeling from Arteta, though, that he's, as you say, I feel like if he was never going to get the backing, if he felt like he wasn't going to get what he's planned out with Edu for this summer, he'd be gone. He'd be like, look, I failed and I'm going to go. Yeah. I don't get the sense of, I know that there's a stubbornness about him. I get that, but there is part of me that feels that he's not just here for the paycheck, and I feel like he genuinely does have a vision and an ambition to turn the team around. Now, he may not be skilled enough to do it, and I feel like we'll find that part of it out fully and truly this season. It's the Thursday, I always say the Thursday against Villarreal, in that moment, my opinion changed a lot on Arteta because I just felt there was nothing justifiable I could put out to say he shouldn't go, and that any other club in any other league anywhere else would have got rid of him by that point. But the fact of the matter is now is that he is going to be here, and he is going to be here for us next season. And I look on always, as people know in the chat box, look at the positives and look to see the method in the madness and see where we can go from here and what have we done previously that gives me hope and what am I hearing that's going to give me hope. And I do have that hope. That we are going to change things. I don't know about you, Clive, but I'm not actually that worried about the transfer window. I don't know what it is. I'm not worried about it.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I'm not worried about it, because I guarantee you, I've been, it's not about what I've been saying, but I've wanted this renewal for quite a while. I've wanted to blow this. I've been saying blow this lot up for two years.
You didn't want the Conference League, did you? You wanted a season out of Europe. Yeah.
I wanted a season out of Europa League even. I wanted this. I wanted a reset moment. I wanted it to be so clear and so painful that there was only one thing to do, because that's what's needed. I loved the FA Cup wins. I really did. Trust me, I was there for all of them apart from the last one. So I loved them, and I used them to really boost myself for the future. But actually, I know we can't say winning FA Cup is bad, but we need this moment. We need this moment of clarity. The board has made themselves clear to us with the ESL. So they've told us what they think of us, right? So that's one thing. Vina looked very inexperienced all of a sudden, right? So Edu, well, the jury is out big time, big time on him. Arteta messed up coaching wise, really, Tom. And we're not expecting to be a brilliant man manager at 39, but coaching, he's sharp, and he messed up coaching decision wise in his reaction to adversity. So suddenly the whole club's revealed themselves, and I think, does everyone get fired, and then the ownership get sold, or do I say who's the person I trust? Why he's here, and that to me is the coach manager.
Yeah,
can he manage his club to be able to reset at this period of time? Can he get the funds that we need? Can we do the sales that we need to do? Have we got the right people in the organisation to do it? That to me, that is the only thing that counts. Player selection, people will agree and disagree, but we've got to get it right. We've got to get it right. This time, for the first time, we've got to not be too funky in our choices. We haven't got to go to the back of beyond to find somebody. There's some good players in our league. Buy them. Buy them. Know why they're here. Buy them.
Speaking of good players in our league, Vegas Gunner, thanks so much for the donation. He says, great show today. Thoughts on Ruben Neves? Supposedly he's available for 35 million. I don't know if you saw this story today, but apparently he's available for that amount of money. And he's one of the people I put on I did those lists of like 5 midfielders that Arsenal could look at, and he made that list. And I don't know what you think about that as a possibility.
I'm not big on him, Tom, to be honest. I know he scored some beautiful goals, not so much this year, but last year. And
has he got see, I know that you disagree with me on this, but there's a part of me that looks at Alan Saint-Maximin as a bit of a flair guy, someone who impresses in a game, but actually his end products and his consistency is questionable. Does Ruben Neves give you that feeling that Alan Saint-Maximin gives me that same vibe?
Yeah, I feel he's a bit of a one-way player. When they're going in the postage stamp, it's all good. But when they're not, I can't find them on the pitch, right? So that's how I feel about him. The one that Wolves is Neto, really, isn't it? Right? I know we don't need him per se because we got Pepe and Saka, but he's the superstar of that team, and he's got the attitude, he's got everything, and that's a player that he's only going one way, and that's probably to Man City at some point in his career, because he is Bernardo takeout. Definitely. That's the one for me.
It's interesting, like people from the chat saying, but Neves is like a goal scoring midfielder. People say that he isn't for me. Like, I get the idea of what a goal scoring midfielder is, like, but the thing is with Neves is that he's got a long shot taker. Like, I wouldn't describe Granit Xhaka as a goal scoring midfielder, but he's got that same ability to shoot from range as Neves does. Now, I look at what Joe Willock's done at Newcastle, and I look at the goals that he scores from midfield, be it from popping up in the box with a good header or running from deep and dragging the ball into the opposition's box and then taking shots there. Willock looks to me the style that can become a goal scoring midfielder, but I don't look at Neves in that same mold. And speaking of which, what does Arteta do with Willock, Clive? Because this is such I know that we talked about earlier about the 3 at the back system, and Willock could play that role because he's played a 3 at the back system at Newcastle where he played next to Shelvey in that position. But what do you think is going to happen, and 2, what do you want to happen?
So I tend to look at when people say, "Oh, he's a midfielder. We don't score goals in midfield." Well, the midfield for me comes in almost 2 sections. You have your behind the ball players, your Xhaka, your Partys, your Elneny's, right? They're your behind the ball players. I don't see Willock as a behind the ball in the 2 centre mid. I don't. If he was at Arsenal, he'd be one of the 10s. Now there are different types of 10s. You have your hand grenade 10 in Smith Rowe, who pops up all around the pitch, blowing people up in wide channels, creating diamonds and triangles out there. You've got your Odegaard 10, who plays in the right half space, comes deep, gets on the ball, drifts into central areas and cuts you with a knife pass, right? So, and then you have your runabout 10, like your Aaron Ramsey 10, who when he plays off the striker with Bale, he plays one of 2 10s. And what Arsenal tend to do, they play double 10s, didn't they? They play Odegaard and Smith Rowe really as double 10s and have 2 4s a bit more dynamic in behind them. So Smith Rowe plays for Arsenal. He needs to play with a centre forward who's a setter, like a Lacazette. Do you know what I mean? So it's like the Ramsey Giroud thing.
Centre forward,
Yeah, Giroud would set. Yeah. Ramsey would just run, distract, cause problems, arrive in the box, take all the man of the match rewards home, while Giroud's lying on the floor, blowing out of his ass, being kicked by centre backs, right? Yeah. But it's a bit of a and so Joe Willock become that style of 10 for Arsenal. but he'll work back in as well. Press people, press the deep midfielder. Make sure he doesn't have time. Like say we're playing the Leeds or Calvin Phillips. No, Joe, you take it out. He doesn't get the ball. Take it off him in this transition. So if you want to do that with him, as fans, we have to realise there are different style of number 10s. A number 10 can be a second forward, and he also can be a third midfielder. But he must have the energy and the technique. So we must play a certain game for Joe Willett to thrive. Maybe we want to play a deeper game, and he has to get us up the pitch. So if we're not going to do that, we're going to be a possession team with our big possession centre backs that can sprint, and we're playing in their half. There's less room for Joe to really show what he's got, which is great athleticism, great legs. If someone was to offer us the money, because of the tactical fit rather than the talent fit, it'll be hard to sort of turn that down unless we were going to use him systemically, as I described. So I'm not sure what to do with him. However, I will say we turn our noses up at our own players sometimes, our young players in particular. And I do it too.
I do that. Yeah. Reece Nelson, I've done it for ages.
Yeah, I do it too. I like Buendia, right? I've got no idea if he's going to work for us. But I look at him, I've wide scouted him, I look at his feet, I look at his attitude, I look at how he drifts, how he shoots, how he creates. I think he looked like one of ours. Do you see what I mean? He looked like one of ours. But Joe Willock's doing the business in the Premier League. He's the form player in the Premier League over the last month. The whole league, it's there on record, and he's our player, and he wouldn't cost us 10 pence. But we're not. We're turning our noses up at it, and we're prepared to take a risk on Buendia, and I'm one of them, or even Odegaard. Let's get him in, right? So there is
quickly on that Odegaard point, because for me, I've really had to try and defend Odegaard a little bit recently, because I think people lose the context of Odegaard sometimes. I'll point out that he had 6 months at Real Madrid at the start of the season where he barely played a minute of football, off the back of a really solid season for Real Sociedad. He then comes in January to a completely new team, new league, with 6 months left. He's off the back of an injury and he's got to get up to speed. And for me, he came in and provided energy, provided creativity, provided incisive passes, and he added that little bit of vocality and just the communicative side to the attack, which I noticed when they did the mic'd up episode against West Ham, and then I noticed it in the subsequent games after that as well. And for me, just because his raw numbers of goals and assists weren't necessarily that high, I think people are writing him off. And I think it's naive to do that, because he's only been given such a small sample to be able to show what he's about. I'm assuming you're a fan and would like to see.
I am a fan, and I tell you what I like about him. He's almost like a technical leader on the pitch, isn't he?
Yeah.
When he's fit and he's on it, you just can't take your eyes off him. He's always available, always knows. He's got his satellite dish firmly on, so he always turns the right way. He can manipulate the ball to get it exactly. He's got 1 foot, but he can manipulate his feet to always know where the ball is, to allow his next movement to be really smooth. So he looks lovely mechanically wise around the ball. He's not awkward. Like, I'll give you an example. In Xhaka, when he's moving onto his left foot, he's like, move it over. Let's get that leg swinging. It's not as neat, not as smooth. Different player. I'm making an example there so you can see the difference. So I like him when he's on it. I really like him. The West Ham game is my favorite. I think it's my favorite game of the season, funny enough. And that and Slavia. I just loved the way we played against West Ham, the way we tore them apart. And Odegaard and Partey in particular, and Pepe coming on, were just tremendous in that game. And it's my favorite memory of the season, watching him play that way, because that is proper football that we have not done against a low block for years.
Yeah.
For years. But then when he but then he disappeared, didn't he, because of the injury? And I looked at it and I thought, am I getting seduced again by another non-running, can't really work hard, number 10 that can only play when the sun is shining on the West Stand on his boots? Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking, I don't want that anymore, because what we this is what I want to say to you, Tom. Actually, you get me. You always get me going. What we've become,
that, people.
what we've become. I want you listeners to really hear this, and hopefully they will give you some more of this as the summer goes on. We are actually quite a nice passing football team when things are going good. And particularly in the sanitized environment where there's no crowds, the games naturally become a pattern pay game. It's all about your passing movements, your shapes, diamonds. Coaches are driving you around. And so you end up playing a coach's game, a sanitized game. And it's no surprise that the best coach team in the league has won the league, right? There is no emotional variable of the crowd, event. That's why Sheffield United disappeared, because they offer emotion. Liverpool, a team that play off emotion, pressure, presence of the crowd. And so it's become a sanitized game. And Arsenal are quite a sanitized team. They play pattern play, sometimes in the wrong area. When it goes well, we get accused of scoring the perfect goal.
Yeah.
But what we've lost, and this is why in the signings that I like, you'll realize why I like them. What we've lost is the art of the contest, the art of the one-on-one duel. The moment when you take the ball off somebody, drive at people, win your contest, win your duel. The art of the contest is disappearing a little bit from our game as an Arsenal team. So we naturally, our eyes go to a Odegaard because he plays the lovely patterns that we've been brought up on. The Nasris, the Fabregas, all the rest of it. Our eyes go to him really easy. We can see what he's all about. Our eyes don't go to a Willock, a little bit more untidy, going to drive his man a little bit in a slightly different way. But it's still a contest. It's a contest of the game. This is why I like a Basuma. One-on-one contest. He wins them. He wins his job and the guys next to him.
Yeah.
The art of the contest is what we need to improve on to find the 20 points. So when we play against Liverpool and City, who are really the two teams that are way better than us, we've got to compete with them. So we've got to have players that can win the contest. And that's in a technical way, a physical way, or an agile way, or using your body weight in the contact. I think we as a fan group have got to recognize the talents of players like a Saka who wins his contest almost every single week. He beats people, he wins, he takes the ball off them. This is a very important aspect to the game. We've got too many people on the periphery of the game playing pattern play. And then what we do, then we then blame the coach and say he's too structured. There isn't enough non-structure because there is no contest. There is nobody tackling. There's nobody transitioning. I bet our tackling numbers are incredibly low as a team. We don't transition. So we are more of a positional team that plays pattern. Our position is too deep. So we're not driving at people. I thought Sunday was an incredible, I don't know, just rewatch the first 10 minutes of Sunday's game and see where we were playing with the crowd in the ground and see how front-footed we were and see how we were driving people back and we dominated the contest and set the tone of the game just on our position and how aggressive we were. And I think that's what we need to focus on as much as players we want to see brought in. And I think if we do that, you're going to see a team that's going to really make the crowd, and all of your listeners feel really proud to be part of.
That'd be a nice change from what we've been recently experiencing, of course. That does bring us to the end, which is a shame, but it won't be the last time you see Clive on the channel.
No,
you can be sure
I watch your stuff nearly every day now, so I'm becoming.
Because I make it every day.
I'm just checking you're getting up, right? So I get up at 8 and I go straight on to the morning show most of the time, and I don't catch all the other evening ones, but I definitely watch that morning one and. I see the guys that are watching you, and they're smart dudes, right? I said this before; they're smart guys, and so I hope they appreciate this. And yeah, thanks for asking me, mate.
No, absolute pleasure always. It's the 8 a.m. morning shows have become really interesting. I think that has highlighted as well, and we've gained a lot of new listeners through doing that show. And still, all of them that come in and are very adept with their words. And I mean, even when you see like Zamiri disagree with you earlier, it was very much. It wasn't like a Twitter. It was I respectfully, Clive, I disagree with you, and here's why. And that's the difference that you get here. And
exactly. And I thought I better explain myself because I want you to realise when people say, "Oh, we need new defenders," but our defensive record is good. That's not what I'm saying. So I've got to explain myself better. Position. Where you play on the pitch is absolutely critical. As soon as we fix that, mate, it's going to be a lot better.
Yeah. I genuinely, as I said before, I'm not worried about the summer window. I'm interested to see how it goes. I'm intrigued and I'm excited about the new season without the distraction of European football to see what happens. Tell people where they can find you on the socials, Clive.
Well, God, I forget. At Clive PAFC, but I think most people know me now. And I only do the Arsenal Vision podcast. So I'm on a few shows this week. So end of season promises. So you might find me out there on a few shows in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, so as he said, you can go find him at Clive PAFC. You can follow the Arsenal Vision podcast as well at Arsenal V Podcast on Twitter as well. And as I say, we're back tomorrow morning with an update of all the latest transfer information, which will then probably lead into a tactical breakdown on one of the players that we've been linked to as well. We'll see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.